All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Freezin NFC North Podcast, episode 136, 2025 NFL Draft. Spectacular. Did the NFC North teams do enough to compete for the Super Bowl? We don't know. Obviously, I can't spell, but hey, we'll get going here. And obviously, I'm NFL Outdated. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on the Twitter X. You can find us on the Freezin #4 pod on the TikTok machine. And welcoming back Miles. Where can everyone find you as we get started?
Good evening. Good evening. You can find me on the Pack Weekly Pod every Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Central, streaming live over on YouTube at Packers Talk Network. That's the name of our channel, if I can not have a brain fart here. Yeah. So search Packers Talk Network. Subscribe to us. We're there every back.
All good stuff. And welcome back to Dave. You had been a series regular, and welcome back. Where can everyone find you as we get started?
I'm just on Twitter. That's pretty much it. Viking Dave 18. That's me. I don't do the fancy podcast like I used to much. So I'm getting too old to all these stuff, man. You know what I mean? I got a life sometimes. I'm like, guys, I'm too old. You know, I got responsibilities. So, but no, I'm still here. I'm still hanging out.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. Well, you know what? Obviously, we got draft stuff and we got Miles and we talked a little bit about it last week. Oh, and we do have our other Vikings guys showing up as well. So we got some Vikings coverage. Okay. Seventh Letter was traveling, so he is having some issues coming back. But you know what? Let's put the Vikings up top, right? You know,
right.
Since
That's
it's
right.
been a minute.
That's where we belong. That's where we belong. I like
it. It's been a minute there. Where can we find you as we get started, Dre?
You can find me on Facebook or Twitter X, just at Skullman Sports.
Awesome. Well, obviously, we all know, just kind of get it out of the way right here. We all know the Bears won the draft, and so we have that out there. And obviously, in Green Bay, it was nice to hear all the chants of, something like Bears still suck, whatever, which was nice to hear that because I was yelling week 18, which I was very happy to celebrate. And it's happy to know that the Bears are on the minds of the Packers. We're in there. We're in your head. We're in your head, Miles. Like we're right between the ears. And I love that about where we're at as Chicago Bears franchise. It's been a while. The last time I talked to you, Dave, obviously we had some issues with our Justin Fields. You didn't love my Justin Fields takes. I didn't love yours.
Who was right?
Hey,
the guy that's on his third team in like a year and a half. I mean,
hey,
you tell me.
I think Justin Fields, I still need to make a video about Justin Fields. I think that he is going to be the comeback player of the year.
You know what?
I did say it was Kirk Cousins.
You're gonna be right. One of these years.
I did say it was Kirk Cousins about a month or so ago. It might be Justin Fields. So as we kind of get started, obviously, I want to hear kind of your takes, Miles, on some of those Packers draft picks. Obviously, the big one, and that all the Packers, in Green Bay, all the Packer fans were pretty excited for Matthew Golden. Tell us a little bit about the rest of the picks there and what your evaluation is of this haul, so to speak.
Yeah, haul. I like that word. Thank you, Andy.
Trying to be nicer.
It is. It's a haul, man. I'm happy with this draft. I don't get into grades too much because it's kind of hot air, but I'm happy with it. I like it. I think that they accomplished really what they needed to. When you analyze how they finished the season, the offense was really the weakness of the team against the Eagles. You needed to address a lot about the offense, and a lot of it had to do with depth. A lot of it had to do with you had offensive line injuries, and you find out that the depth you thought you had, you didn't have. It didn't go well. And then obviously Christian Watson's going to be out for the majority of the season, so you do have to address the receiver room to some extent, which I thought they did a phenomenal job of. But yeah, so I won't go too long and do deep analysis pick by pick, but the Matthew Golden pick, very happy with that. Speedster, It seems like just from chatter that a lot of teams had him as the top receiver on their draft boards. The one that gave that away for me was Peter Schrager when he came out with his mock draft right there before the draft. He had Matthew Golden going to the Packers, and he said it was very, very carefully worded. He said they get a great receiver here. Not a lot of people, I think, expect the top receiver or this consensus top receiver on a lot of boards to go to the Packers. And the thing about that is there's not a lot of media who had Golden as a consensus top receiver. Almost, I can't think of any. So that's where I was like, okay, so he's getting that from teams then. So, you know, we might have a spirited debate as time goes on, but I do believe that the Packers got the best receiver in the draft here. Travis Hunter might have an argument, but he's also, you know, distracting himself with the other side of the ball. We'll see how that plays out.
Absolutely.
Very happy with the pick, though. I thought it was a great pick. I think he's going to be a great receiver. I think he's going to fit in the offense really well. Anthony Belton, great pick, great depth, big dude. He'll compete at tackle. He'll compete at guard. It just kind of depends, I think, on how things settle and how other competition spots go. But I think that it's a great pick, you know, and I think the nitpick on it was, well, you know, I had him as graded as more of like a 3rd round pick. It's like, I don't care. The Packers have been good enough at evaluating offensive line. If you think that guy was worth taking right there in the 2nd, then I'm on board. So yeah, big dude. I thought they made a real point to increase the size of the offensive line. Aaron Banks, also a big dude. So yeah, that felt right in line with some correction that needed to be made. Savion Williams was probably the most surprising pick to me. I'm a Texas boy. I'm down here. I'm in Fort Worth. I've been watching Savion Williams, and I've been talking myself out of him the whole way because of all of the other TCU receivers that looked awesome and just didn't happen. And I know you guys, a couple of Vikings fans up there, you guys got one of them that didn't pan out in Rager, but at least you didn't have to waste a draft pick on him. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of that. So I almost overlooked him. And so when they picked him, it was like, oh my God, I need to go check myself here and go back there. Big dude, raw talent. I've heard the comparisons to Cordero Patterson. I think those are fair. But you know, he's got potential, you know, and if they can mold him into more of a true receiver than just a ball carrier, look out. It could be dangerous. He's 6'5", 225 and runs a 4.4. It's a big deal. Beyond that, you know, I think, you know, again, I'm not going to go player by player, but I thought, let's see here.
Thanks.
Good Lord, man. Shots fired.
We're coming out hot.
Oh, God.
Or shall we say warm?
Coming
out warm.
Goodness gracious. But what I thought they did with the rest of the draft was address kind of collectively the D-line and pass rush situation. And they didn't do it in a flashy, sexy way, you know, with their 1st round pick or with a big free agent signing or a big trade. But I do think that what they did will be effective. Love the Baron Sorrell pick. Sounds like he's an upstanding dude that all the other Texas players would have wanted to play with in the league. So,
and I was gonna say on that, like, you know, both with the Golden and the Sorrell pick, those were really kind of made for TV, like Green Bay with them.
No kidding.
And I ended up being like front row for the Baron Sorrell pick, and
that's awesome.
I had the video of him just walking right by us. So if you watch the NFL Network coverage, you can see us right there.
I'm gonna have to go back and check it out again.
Yeah, I'll send you the pic of it. But it was just a cool moment. And obviously, as a Bears fan, you know, I didn't like it, but as a football fan, and you see these guys, you know, having their dreams come true and whatnot, and just to have that love for, you know, right away, and then you know, obviously the teammate and everything. So it was a really cool moment.
Yeah, and you know, I was thinking about it too. For him to be sitting there that whole time, and I think this is what I said on our podcast. It would really kind of suck to get drafted by the Bears at that point and immediately be booed by the whole crowd. It's kind of cool that he got the opposite of that. You know, he's immediately, you know, welcomed with the biggest welcome you could possibly imagine for a 4th round draft pick. So I thought that was cool. Yeah, I love the pick. He seems like he's going to be able to contribute pretty early. And I love the Georgia D tackles. They draft one, they bring one in as an undrafted free agent. and Stackhouse, was it Stackhouse? Yeah, Nazir Stackhouse. I got to interview him at the Shrine Bowl. I thought he was a pretty impressive dude, but obviously a big dude. And that was what I wanted. I didn't think you needed to add like a big name, but you needed more beef on that D line if you're going to keep pace with the Eagles. So overall, I felt like the Packers did a great job and pushing the team forward and more. And this may not sound great, but raising the floor of their team. You know, they added a lot of depth, and I think they found out late in the season last season if your floor is too low, it's not good. It's not going to last.
So, Skullman, what were your thoughts? Kind of obviously, we didn't get a chance to talk about this last week. But what were your thoughts on the Packers picks here?
I mean, honestly, I don't know too many of them. Like, I mean, look at them. It seems like they do cross off a lot of like obviously needs. I think that obviously, if anything, going with the DB late, I think that they're still trying to. I mean, I've read a few articles on like they're still trying to keep Jair Alexander, which I would prefer them not doing. But like, I mean, like the wide receiver room, I think like that them taking 2 receivers shows what they think of their wide receivers, and that there's obviously talent there, but it's, I mean, like they haven't produced or they've been injured. Like obviously there's crossover there between which one, like chicken or the egg, which one came first, like which one is actually more important there. Is it mostly injuries, or if they're just not able to produce? I don't know. But by taking 2, like, I mean, that shows that like they definitely want to try to push that. And I think they did decent. I can't say like they did bad. But yeah, I think they had a lot of picks, so I think they did all right.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, I think you look back, and I think the Packers have done a good job in the past of finding kind of some of those names, diamonds in the rough, they're not the sexy names, right? And I think, you know, so it's hard not to look at this and be like, damn it, they're going to get somebody that's going to contribute, you know, because I don't want that. I want them to be like, you know, all out of the league, you know, in 2026. But I just, you know, it's not going to happen. You know, I think there's some solid players here. What about you, Dave? Are you worried about the Pack now, or do you think the Pack, like me, are going to be 4th in the division this year?
I'm not worried about the Packers. Let's be real. You know, what's funny is I'm not a big draft guy. I don't know a lot of these guys. I'm not going to lie. That's just not what I do. But I know who Matthew Golden is, and I was a little disappointed that he drafted him. I don't want the Packers to get better. He's a good player. We all know that they have some good receivers, but they don't have an elite guy. You know, that's what they've needed. Like Christian Watson, he's a big play guy, but that guy can't stay healthy. I think Jaden Reed's really, really good. You know, Dobbs, those, like, they're good players, but they don't have someone that can take over a game. And I hope that Golden's not that guy, but I mean, he's definitely a playmaker. So that's probably one of their biggest needs, is, you know, for Jordan Love. So I didn't like that pick. I think it's a good one. And I'll be lying if I said the rest of the guys. I'm just not a draft guy, but I was disappointed that they took someone. Wait, how pissed is Aaron Rodgers right now? Like, you know what man,
I mean? He's got to be on fire.
Like, what the heck, dude? I leave and you guys start drafting guys early. So,
well, that's why, you know, I was surprised that didn't spur him to like sign with the Steelers right away to say, all right, I'm going to beat the Packers. All right,
back.
There you go. All right, it's on.
Yeah.
It's on now.
So,
yeah, I don't know. He should be pissed though. I mean, it's hard to imagine a human not being mad about that, right? Like, looking back, like, dang.
How many times is he like, can you give me some help? And now it's like, as soon as he's gone, we got the 1st round guy. So yeah, it's like, you know.
Well, and surrounded by more O-line beef too, you know, like here's some weapons and some protection, you know. Yeah, they really are hooking up Jordan Love. That's why I get kind of excited about it, because I didn't think you needed to go get big flashy players to be successful in this draft and to get better. But yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job with it, man. I mean, time will tell. They've had some dud drafts before. Don't put it past them. I think 2021 already is looking pretty ugly right now. But you know, I'm so far pretty excited about it. and also the free agent signings. Got Isaiah
Mhm.
Simmons. That was kind of a sneaky signing in there. So
we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that, but obviously, let's get into Vikings as well. Skullman, these Vikings picks, obviously there were, they had 4, turned it into 5. Some interesting picks here. What are your thoughts on Jackson, Felton, and the rest of the new draftees?
I think again, like I said this like 2 weeks ago, it's kind of hard to really assess something when you have that few picks. Obviously, they came out with more than they went in with, so that's a plus right there. Donovan Jackson, based on what I've seen about him, he wasn't my pick at that area, but like I think like when we did the mock draft, like I was picking like based on what I thought was the best player available, just because of like we had so few picks. But like they're clearly invested in obviously JJ McCarthy and protecting him. And even with the free agency, it shows that they want to not only invest in the current talent that's there, but then preserve it long term. So I think like that shows it. He did very well, obviously, with Georgia. Ty Felton, like based on what I've seen about him, like given the fact that he's coming from Maryland, I'm calling him basically Stephon Diggs Part 2, hopefully without the drama. But so I'm looking forward to that. And then a guy named Kobe, I'll take it, whatever type of thing. Like I'll take it, that type of thing. So I'm feeling good about it, given everything. It's not the players that I wanted, but again, when you have 4 picks, it's kind of hard to really. You can pick the ones you want, but you can't be really upset with the ones that you get, just given everything. And so you don't always know like what the GMs, coaches are always feeling. Obviously, as fans, you don't really know that. So I'm not disappointed, not like elatedly happy, but I'm good with it.
It was interesting. So being there live at the draft, right next to some Vikings fans, especially with the Donovan Jackson pick, they were surprised there was no cornerback. They were like, who's going to cover these wide receivers in the division? And so they were surprised that didn't happen. Obviously, when I look at the Vikings, I think they're going to try to run, and maybe that takes the pressure off of JJ McCarthy in his first year, but then I was surprised they didn't go with a running back. And obviously Aaron Jones is there, but hey, he's injury prone, he's older. So what about like position wise, Dave? When you obviously look at positions, were you kind of surprised that they didn't maybe add a quarterback or a running back or something like that?
I really wanted a corner. I really wanted Jahdae Barron. And then Will Johnson, but I know he's got the injury thing, so that's probably why he dropped a little bit. But you know what? I'm not mad about what they did. I know a lot of people are saying, it's a guard. It's a boring pick. So I get it. And it is. It's boring. But what's not boring is when your quarterback is getting destroyed because you can't, like look at the playoffs. Like what did Detroit and the Rams do? All they did was blitz and we couldn't stop it.
Their defensive front was nasty.
Yeah. So you got, JJ McCarthy coming in, you got to protect them. They went out and signed a couple of guys. They drafted a guy who's from what I can tell, is just a plug and play guy. Like, those guys are valuable. They really are. So I'm fine with the pick. Yeah, we still, I think, need some secondary help, but I feel like they'll come later. Or, I just trust, Brian Flores to do what he does. Overall, the offseason, I'm really happy, honestly. I'm happy with everything. I like the Ty Felton pick. They say he's a little bit of a playmaker. He's got really fast. I feel like I don't even know his name, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. They say this is what I've read because I don't know a lot of stuff, but that he's super athletic. I guess he had some injury issues, and that's kind of why he dropped. And he's got a lot of upside. So that's good. They got some guys in there. Yeah, they didn't have a ton of picks, but I think what they did with what they have, the needs. We needed a number 3 receiver like Felton, if he can hopefully come in and start right away. Jalen Naylor's not it. We signed Rondale Moore. That guy's whatever. So you got a playmaker with Felton. You got an offensive starter in Jackson. I say, let's go, man. I'm ready. I'm really excited for the season with everything they did. So we'll see.
Oh, Andy.
Oh, we got two of
Andy's
them.
We're here.
he's
We're
cloning
hitting
himself.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I think
What is
I've
going
got
on?
having some internet issues, so we'll just kind of
Is this imposter, Andy? Should we trust
Yeah.
you? I don't know.
AI.
yes. The up there, the void up there is not having the seventh letter here. We definitely miss him. So I don't know what that was. It kind of kept going. So I'm gonna remove. He's gone. He's gone.
We're back.
He's out of here.
I'm not giving any money to Nigerian princes today. So
what about Chicago Kings? Because when you look at obviously we talked about the Viking stuff, and I'm going to give all you guys a chance to. We talked a little bit about my picks here, and being in Green Bay, everyone kind of was lambasting me for the Colston Loveland pick and the rest of them. I wasn't all that happy initially with the final day picks. That was kind of what was going on. I wanted a running back early. I wanted the guy from Kansas State. They just kept falling and falling and falling. I actually kind of like more now some of the final day picks. Hippolyte, obviously he rose pretty quickly. He's fast, so there's some upside there. I've heard some good things about his Frazier. But one note here, we're going to look at some merch coming up here for the podcast. RevTrev and I are putting some stuff together, and it's going to include the running back out of Rutgers. Kyle Monangai is my guy. That's my T-shirt. He is now my guy. So when you look at these picks, Miles, what is your assessment of what the Bears did to build their Super Bowl roster?
All right, so I'll start with this, and I wish I could remember the GM that said it, but there was a GM that came out, was talking about the process. I think it was the Ravens GM, and basically explained, like, you're going to hit on half of these guys, right? So doesn't really matter, where you're taking them. You need more picks, right? So that's the sentiment that Ted Thompson had for a long time for the Packers. I think Goot seems to share that as well. So you don't have to hit on, every pick. Just because it's the top 10 pick doesn't mean you have to hit on it.
I know that the fans is like, oh, we have to hit every single one. Everyone has to be. Exactly. You're right. That's a great pick. A great point.
It's just a pick. It's just a pick. At the end of the day, it's just now expectations come into play and enter the picture. And all of a sudden you're going, oh man, what happened there? So listen, man, as a Packers fan, it's fun to bust your chops, being a Bears fan. Like, I don't know what the heck that pick was. I'll say this. If I was a Packers fan and we have the number 10 pick and we use it on that guy, I'd be livid right now. I would be pissed.
Okay.
I would not be happy at all. Mainly because is he tight end 1 this year?
So that's a great question. So, and I have a lot of Michigan friends that were, telling me that obviously they love him. And so the cool thing about him is, obviously he's a tight end. He's not the best at blocking, right? But they can put him at wide receiver, 12 personnel sets, different things like that. And he's going to be a matchup nightmare. Obviously, I've heard some assessments about the blocking. But if you give that to Komet and you do some different things with him, I love that. And he just kind of, I think, fits better than with what they want to do than the Penn State guy. Obviously, I was like, what the heck's going on initially? But I love the pick hearing, from Michigan fans, and then just hearing all of the other, stuff that, what he's going to do in the new offense. And I think, we get so, and we were, at the draft, and my son he had the kind of lineup of best available. Right. And I think we get so, fixed on, wow, he was like, wow, they went way down the board and all that. But I think we get forget about how these players fit in a particular offense and the roles that they're looking to fill. Not just, obviously his best player available, but how do they fit certain offenses or defenses? And we forget that part of it. And, obviously I'm not a coach. They really loved Colston Loveland. They had that pick. Now I wasn't certain on the Luther Burden pick. I have heard that maybe he was even better than the Packer wide receiver, which I love that as well. Who knows about that? I think it also seems like he's almost more of a duplicate to DJ Moore, which is interesting. I also would have loved Travion Henderson there. Obviously he wasn't available, right? So, you look at that and there's a lot of talent there. Maybe was it the right talent at the right time? I don't know, but that's just how the draft board fell. So I get it. And, everybody kind of worried about Colston Loveland, but I'm happy with the pick.
Hey, man, as long as you can sleep at night, that's all that matters. But I would not be happy with that, because, again, it's like you're drafting tight end 2.
So who would have you rather gone with?
I mean, I'd have to go back and look at it. Let me see if I can pull that up. But again, you're looking at that going, wow, man, like it's the 10th overall pick. Even if you're in like the second half of the first round, it maybe feels a little different. But yeah, just looking at who was available there, you got some pretty good D linemen there. A Kenneth Grant would have been a great addition. Even a Tyler Booker would have been a great addition. I don't know how you take him over Tyler Warren. I really like Tyler Warren. So at the end of the day, we don't know what their board is. True. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that my board is almighty and all knowing and all of that, like I'm just some dummy. Right. And so I get real irked whenever people, overreact. Oh, I had a 3rd round grade on him. It's like, man, what are you? Are you a GM? You're not GM.
Correct.
You don't know what these guys have them graded. So that's where it's like, we can all have some fun with it. I just think that the positional value for me at 10 is tough to swallow for tight end 2. But I will say, I think that you potentially made up for it in the second half. I'm a big Zoff Frazier fan. Not anymore. I'm not, but I was. He was very impressive at the Shrine Bowl. I think if he was playing at a bigger school, he would have been drafted sooner. He's one of those guys that you wonder how he'll play against higher competition. And I'll say, man, he did not flinch against anybody at the Shrine Bowl. And there were some good receivers at the Shrine Bowl. I love that pick for you guys. Hate it for you guys as a Packers fan. I think the Kyle pick also is going to be a good one. He's a good running back, and that's
he's stacked too. Like he's like, yeah. What about the Ruben? Like, because there were so many other linebackers there, I was like, just listed of like where. I mean, maybe they're thinking for him for like, special teams as well. Or I was just wasn't quite sure that pick. They traded down. I'm like, okay, well, there were a lot of good running backs that were seeming to kind of fall, and I was like, well, maybe we'll get this one, and they went with a linebacker. Obviously, they had some other positional need, but I was surprised on that.
Yeah, and I think you're right, though. I think it's a special teams thing, and the Packers make those picks. I think that's a lot of their picks were motivated by special teams in the second half, but I don't know as much about Ruben Hippolyte. The Shamar Turner, I think, was a great value pick. There was a lot of people talking about him a lot earlier in the draft than the 4th round. So great value pick there. Yeah, Luther Burden really, Burden versus Golden might be a thing for a little bit. Now, I think Golden's going to maybe put that to bed, but we'll see how it plays out.
So what about you, Dre? What were your thoughts when you saw Colston Loveland and the Bears? I mean, were you mocking us Bears when they had that pick?
Mocking may be a little strong. I just think he's for that high of a pick to go tight end. That's just my concern about it. Like, I think that there were obviously plenty of other better players than that. Not to say that he's bad. It's just to go tight end when you have a decent one. I think that going at that point, I mean, I don't remember offhand where Burden was eventually taken, like what number that was, but I don't know. I just think that like maybe he I don't know if Loveland would have like made it to where Burden ended up, but like maybe you could have traded up for him or something like that. I just think that like top
value
15
wasn't
picks
there.
and you're going, top 15 picks and you're
Mhm.
going a tight end. That just seems, I don't know. And I don't think he was like the best tight end in the country at that point, but in comparison to like the other players who were like really, really good at that time. And I don't know. I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think like he has a lot of skills, but I just, being that is just, I'm questioning the height of that pick more than him himself. But
What
do
about
I know?
what about you, Dave? Are you kind of I mean, you're scared by the Bears now, aren't you? Of course you have to be.
Nobody's ever scared of the Bears. You know what's funny is if it was Ty Warren, would everybody be okay with it? Like, you know what I mean? Would it be just because it's Loveland and most people rated Warren higher? Is that like the big issue? You know what I mean? So this is my thing. The new coach, Ben Johnson, I think we all know he's, supposed to be a great mind, which I mean, it feels like he is. He obviously did a lot in Detroit. And I remember whenever Detroit took Gibbs, and it was way higher than a lot of people thought, right? Like we were all like, wow, that's high for a running back. Like running backs don't go in the first round. And he was like, 12th overall or something. And I was like, that's a terrible pick. And the guy's amazing. So I again, we're just dummies on the internet, right? Like I trust Ben Johnson. I like to me, whatever Kevin O'Connell says, I'm like, I'll blindly follow you. You know what I mean? Like that guy seems to be making all the right decisions. If he trusts Sam Darnold, let's go. Sam Darnold, take us to the Super Bowl. Like the things he's done. So Ben Johnson, I mean, he's got to prove it as a head coach. But if he says, hey, that's the guy I want, who am I to say no? Like who am I to say I'm smarter than Ben Johnson? You know what I mean? Like so. That's kind of where I'm at. Yes, is it maybe higher than some people think? Okay, but what if the next team right behind him was going to take him and he was going to turn into a Hall of Famer? Like we don't know yet. We don't know again how the board looks, how much they loved him. Maybe they worked him out and they're like, this guy is the next Travis Kelce. He's going to have a Hall of Fame career. Again, we don't know. Yes, it seems high for a tight end because there is a lot of expectations to those guys, and it seems like the high tight ends are always busts. Like I swear. These guys,
like
Kyle Pitts, and all these guys that go like top 5 or top 10. It just feels like they're not what they're supposed to be. But again, we'll see what happens. I know he was really good in college, and he's athletic and all those things. And again, I'm not gonna. I think it's high, but like I said, I don't know. I like the Burden pick. I think he was a playmaker in college, so the more weapons you can have around Caleb Williams, who is just not that good, is probably better. So
I will say we have a player that was a first round 8th.
He's great.
What'd you say?
I was just saying that we have a first round 8th overall pick on our team, so we'll see what happens.
And here's what I like, regardless of picks. In the past, I think Bears coaches and GMs have gotten too cute. Whether trading up to get a quarterback they weren't even sure of, they were just kind of asking around, is this the guy? Of course, Mitch Trubisky wasn't the guy, and to trade up and get too cute and just all of that. So what I was worried about, and we talked about this the night before the draft, I just didn't want them to trade up, stand pat, and get your guy.
Oh yeah, that's a rumor they were going to go up to get like Genty or something like that.
Which Genty's great, and we talked about this for weeks. I think he's going to be great, but I just think we had so many other needs, and you don't want to give up other draft capital. I was happy with all the players that we needed, and obviously I'm high on the Bears, but we still needed a lot more bodies, a lot more players, because obviously, as you said, Miles, like you're not going to hit on all of them. But the more you have, the more opportunities you have, and more swings at the pitch, right? Just more swings at the plate. And so I like what they overall what they've done. Obviously, we'll kind of see and how it plays out, training camp, all that. But I like overall the coaching staff, where I'm at right now with my coaching staff. And I think they're going to hold accountable. That's why I do like the Za Frazier pick. That's going to really hopefully push, that secondary a little bit. And, and we'll see. I mean, there was no accountability last year with that secondary and the whole team, I think. So I think that'll help, overall. So I'm excited. You obviously, you can throw cold water on all you want, but I'm ready.
Let me ask this way then.
Yeah.
So have they done enough for Caleb Williams for you to hold him accountable if he still stinks?
Oh, love that question. Because it ties in. Did the NFC North teams do enough to compete for a Super Bowl? And yes, the Bears did enough to hold him accountable.
If he's not good now, it's his fault, right? It's not that the Bears didn't give him what he needed.
Absolutely. So this is this is definitely a put up year for Caleb, and I think just being able to see him with a coach that cares, and not just a coach that wants to get a new beard and a new outfit. I think a coach that cares and a coaching staff that's going to mold him and push him. And so I love to hear that. And obviously, I will eat crow eventually if Caleb doesn't pan out. But what I love about Caleb Williams is how he brought teams back, and was clutch when he needed to be. Obviously, there were other circumstances, coach, a broken coaching staff, all of that didn't that played into factor too. But I love to see that in his rookie year with just running for his life. He was still able to make plays, still a lot of growth opportunity. But hey, you look at the Packers quarterback in his 10th year, seemingly, and he's still kind of mid. So I'm all about that.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's the reason that I asked that, because now the Packers, and I don't know if we lost Andy. It looks like okay, you still there. I will say this as a Packers fan, that's how I feel about Jordan Love. Like they've done enough. They've given you got a first round pick receiver now, man. Aaron Rodgers couldn't even say that. You got a good O-line. They just got better. You got Savion Williams, which, he might be the most fun weapon of the group, depending on how he turns out. Yeah, at this point, it's like Jordan Love's got to put up or shut up. There's no excuses.
Yeah, and when you look at it, obviously, I like to troll online, and I appreciate you kind of bringing that up because, I mean, yes, he was hurt, right? But I think those aren't excuses. Like, I do have to admit, obviously I say, Jordan Love's mid and everything like that. He has the talent, and when he drops back, I do kind of get a little bit afraid. I'm like, okay, if he puts it together, he could be just above mid. No, he could be decent. I can't say great. Sorry. I'm not going to say that. But he's got the talent there. And it's just like accuracy issues, a lot of different issues. Trying to be Brett Favre, trying to be Aaron Rodgers, trying to throw off the back foot, whatever he's doing. Like, it's just, and maybe the Packers coaching staff, obviously, I'm sure there's a Packers coaching staff or someone in the know listening to us right now that's probably going to take this advice and, have, them work on his, his little footsies, and try to get everything kind of working. But I don't know. I mean, I would be concerned about that. But yeah, so overall, Miles, do you think they have done enough to compete for a Super Bowl?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. The biggest issues, and I guess we really haven't addressed this much, but when I look at Super Bowl teams, they've got a few things, right? A few ingredients. One of them is usually a top running game, top 5, top 10 running game. One of them is usually a pretty good quarterback, right? One of them is a top defense, usually a top defense led by a top pass rush. And I would think, the Packers fans have mostly called this out. The pass rush was the biggest thing missing last year from their, I think maybe not maybe the biggest thing. It's debatable, but it seemed like one of the biggest things missing last year. And then you need a good secondary. And I think the Eagles, they checked all those boxes. And the one thing we haven't talked about yet on the show is Jair. And I think Jair's back. I've been calling this the whole time.
Ooh.
I never thought Jair was leaving. It felt a lot to me like the 2021 Rodgers saga where the media was bored, so they were going to start some shit. But yeah, so it does look like he's going to be back. When you figure him in, you got to make the assumption he's going to be healthy. I know he hasn't been a lot. As a fan, I want him to be healthy. I'm assuming he's going to be healthy. You've got an all-pro corner, and then you've got some good veteran depth at cornerback. You've got maybe one of the best safety groups in the league. Really good, strong linebacker group. I think the Packers believe they solved their pass rush issue with a new D-line coach, which I think there's some validity to that. Because I kind of look at it as like a ripple effect. Your pass rush starts with your mountain men in the middle, and the Eagles spelled that out perfect, right? They got massive dudes on the D-line in the middle, and that makes life easier on everybody else behind them. And the Packers last year, their D-line was not getting it done. And they've got plenty of talented dudes in there. So I look at the coaching, go, all right, well, the coaching looks like it stinks. So that was one of the first things they did was got rid of the D-line coach. So yeah, I think they believe they've solved their issues. I do believe if they stay healthy, they're competing for a Super Bowl.
All right. Well, I mean, that's in stark contrast to me thinking they're going to be 5-12, but I mean, we'll get there.
Just wishful thinking. That's all right.
He predicted us to go like 4 and whatever last year. So
actually, no. I predicted only win two wins.
Even worse.
Exactly. So
I think I gave you 4.
So Joseph here with a comment, and this is going to be interesting as well. Obviously, everyone's kind of assuming the Lions because they've gotten there. Lions minus injury are already a Super Bowl team. I mean, you're not though. A lot of
teams in history have been able to say that, and you can't remember who they are.
So Lions are a team to beat. I don't think they are though. I don't. I mean, coaching matters.
There could be some big changes with those coaches. You're right.
I agree with the coaching aspect. I think that with both their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator piecing out, I think
there's a lot of doubt there. Obviously,
I say on paper they're the team to beat just because they have the rep and everything, but I don't know. I think the coaching is what's going to really push it over.
Coaching matters in this league. I've learned that really like since KOC's came on, man. I trust that guy. He's so good. He's made bad QBs look good. Brian Flores, what he did with the year before he came in and just how terrible the defense was, and then literally flipped it to where they're really good over literally when it's off season. Yeah. And so, I mean, I get it. Like still players coming in and out and that helps, but you can't tell me that coaching doesn't matter. It's 100% matters.
Totally,
and it's a big issue. So when you have good coaches, it's obvious.
Graduate of quarterback U.
So I think Detroit could be. They have a good team. We know they have a good team, but will the coaches put them in the right positions? Because if they don't, then you just have guys running around looking like idiots sometimes. So we'll see.
I think the Lions are really going to miss Antoine Randall L because obviously I heard some things about kind of what he did even for Jameson Williams, and obviously it's hard to really fully rag on the Lions since Seventh Letter's not here because that's always fun, always getting him going on that. But they had some picks. I know he's talking about depth. So obviously D-line, they needed that. I don't know much about some of those players. We had talked about Isaac Tesla being an interesting pick. And obviously, they went for need here as well. I mean, just kind of going there. Miles, what was your kind of take on some of the Lions picks?
Not gonna lie, I thought they did a good job.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say like I've got fear struck in me, but you look at it. Tyleik Williams makes a good D-line, maybe a great D-line better. Tate Ratledge was one of my favorite prospects in this draft. I was really rooting for him to be a Packer. I think he'll be a plug-and-play starter on that offensive line, which is already probably the best in the league. Isaac Tesla is a great one to throw in there. He doesn't have to be receiver 1 or even receiver 2. Excellent athlete. Yeah. You look at that. Now, Randall L not being there, again, how does that group kind of come together a little bit more? That's the question. you can throw talent together and it doesn't always come out well. But one of these guys, and he wasn't really talked about much, but he was at the Shrine Bowl, so I got to see him for a week up close and personal, was Ahmed Hassanein. That is zero surprise that that's a Dan Campbell pick, because that guy is the guy that is ready to just beat his head against a brick wall all practice and then ask for more. Like he's eating nails for breakfast and with a smile on his face. He is nuts. He's not the biggest dude. He doesn't have the measurables, but whoever is going against him is going to have a long day. He is a Dan Campbell dude. And if he doesn't make that team, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, I loved that pick. He's an interesting dude. But overall, yeah, it's a strong draft. I think they could have gone backwards this offseason from a personnel perspective, and I don't think they did, which is kind of a scary thought. If their coaching comes together, they're going to be a very good team.
So, yeah, I mean, when you look at the Lions, obviously they've been up there. They've done it a couple years in a row now. The last team that was the division champs and was up there last year as well. Obviously the Vikings. I saw a weird kind of thing here, and I had to see if I find it again. But someone was obviously ranking the quarterbacks in the division, and it was ridiculous that actually it was in the NFL, I think, and it was ridiculous that they were saying that J.J. McCarthy was even better than Caleb Williams. I don't know. I mean,
he's the best quarterback in the division already. He hasn't even taken a snap. That's pretty good.
All right, go. How? Why?
Listen, he's not, because he hasn't played yet. This is what I'm going to say. Did the Vikings do enough to compete for a Super Bowl? Yes, I think they did. I say that because they won 14 games last year with Sam Darnold. They added depth on the interior D line and the interior offensive line. Two of our biggest issues. Now, yes, some of these guys, they got a little cheaper because of injuries, but you got Hargrave, you got Jonathan Allen. We added offensive linemen, 3 new offensive starters on the offensive line. You add that with what they had last year. J.J. McCarthy, who's been handpicked by Kevin O'Connell, and he's technically, a rookie, but he's been there. What I like the best is he was there, so he knows the playbook. He's a little bit more of an advanced rookie because he's been in the building. He knows all of these things. I think he's ready. Again, with what he's done with Joshua Dobbs, Kirk Cousins had his best season. We just saw he just got Sam Darnold paid. Like, Sam Darnold should just send him some of that money. Like, things that, you got offensive playmakers everywhere. We know that. We've got great coaching staff. They've got everything. Now, can they put it together and obviously do it? That's the issue. But if you say, can they win the Super Bowl? Do they do enough? Yes, I think that they did. You add everything up with the offseason. By the way, Jordan Mason, I love the trade. I love the trade for Jordan Mason because he when you put the offensive line, what we have upgraded the offensive line, you got Aaron Jones, who I still love. He's still really good, but he's always nicked up, just a little bit hurt. You add Jordan Mason, who killed it last year until he got hurt. That duo together with the weapons that we have on offense, I love it. I love for a 6th-round pick or something they got. I love that deal. And I think that's one of the reasons why they didn't draft a running back, because they feel pretty good about that. Now, long term, is that going to work? I don't know. I mean, I think Aaron Jones is getting up there, obviously, but for the next couple of years, I love that. So I think you've got guys everywhere that can make plays. Mason's better than anything we had last year. Cam Akers was, he's an okay guy, but he's nothing special. And I think between Mason and Jordan and Jones, you give Jones the relief that he needs so he can stay fresher. I loved it. And so all of that together, putting it together in the playoffs is different. Obviously, we haven't won a playoff game in a couple of years, but can they? Yes. Did they do enough? Yes. Now it's time for them to go and do it.
Dre, you on that same bandwagon?
Yeah, I think. I mean, you look at what they did. They saw their needs, and they did it. They got the needs that they wanted to. They improved where they needed to. I mean, I don't think there's too many fans that are upset that they didn't I don't know, get George Pickens. I think there aren't a lot of picks that we're real overly upset about. Yeah, I mean, I think DJ, the one DB that went to, I want to say the Lions. I wish he could come to the Vikings. That, those types of things that I wish. But we're not too overtly upset oh, why couldn't we got the linemen that we wanted, and honestly, more. I think. Like, I did not expect us to get both, like, the Colts linemen. Like, I did not expect them to get that, and they did. I think that's a really good thing. Like Mason, I didn't expect that. I'll echo everything that was said already. I'm excited about that. I mean, he obviously showed that he could be good in a good system. And the thing is about JJ McCarthy, like, obviously, yeah, like it was said, like, and it's known he's a relative rookie, but he was in the system already. And I think the one person that like commented on, like, he wasn't that much in like Michigan, but then you look at like who his coach was, who were his receivers, who was his running back. Exactly.
He still led them to a national championship. Like,
exactly.
No. I'm not giving him credit. I was live.
Oh, really?
I was an Iowa fan. I was live. A depleted Iowa team that had zero offense almost beat the Wolverines with him. He could not like drive against a depleted defense for the Iowa Hawkeyes in that game.
I guess
so.
I
Hey,
but you look at the yardage that like the receivers got, like, and they're like not like scrubs, but they're not like great receivers. You know,
they're not JJ. You're right.
Yeah, and I think that in itself, you know, like he did not have Jettas to throw the ball to. That in itself is going to show that. I mean, again, we've said it like so many times on this. We kind of said it today.
Mm-hmm.
Darnold did well in this offense.
He did.
And that in itself, Darnold wasn't a champion. He didn't have a full offseason plus more. Well, technically 2 off seasons to work the system. And he still played well enough. Even for 3 or 4 games, even like Josh Dobbs played well. Like
Miles, you know what I love about Vikings fans is it doesn't take much for them to kind of go down the rabbit hole of we're back, baby. We're back.
First of all, we've been back.
This is Minnesota sports.
Chicago. Where's Chicago?
Okay.
Chicago is the ones that need to come back. We just won 14 games. Yeah, we lost in the playoffs, but like, come on.
I mean, Peter has a good point. The 3 NFC North teams got destroyed in the playoffs.
We all lost, but guess what? We were there. You know what? When you're in the playoffs, you have a chance. Now,
it was nice.
You can go. We'll see.
It was nice in Green Bay being in almost town. They were saying title town, and unfortunately, I didn't have my shirt that said almost
How
town.
How does the Bears fan talk the most smack when that team hasn't made the playoffs and not even know how?
I don't know, man. I mean,
should have just had a shirt that said Week 18. That would have been amazing. There's so many things that I wish I would have done. I forgot all these T-shirts, but Peter's right. I mean, obviously playoffs is a good thing, right? But we want Super Bowls. That's the main thing. Yeah. I mean, even with the Packers, right? Like you celebrate championships, and really, it's been a long time since any of our teams have celebrated championship. I'm going to say though, one of our teams is going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh,
although I think we said it last year too. But hey, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Just keep saying
that. Years will be right. I say that every year.
Who was the most recent Super Bowl winner?
Who won last year? Not the Packers.
No. I mean, in the division.
It's been a long time.
Was there even an iPhone out?
Years ago.
Was there an iPhone out?
I think they were on iPhone 2 or 3 at that point.
Oh gosh, wow, that's long. Healthy Lions team doesn't lose, in my opinion. I mean, that's fair. They've got the talent. Do they have the quarterback? So let's throw cold water on that
part about that, the healthy aspect.
That's
the thing. Like,
All right, sorry, Joseph.
Take
here
that
we go.
word away and see what happens.
And so next week, obviously, is scheduled release day and all that. So I want to go. Let's go Lions. Throwing the cold water here. Home opponents. We're going to find out all about this, but and kind of go through that. Obviously, somewhat healthy Lions. But when you look at these, games, I think the Giants are going to be better. Now the Cowboys just got better. They just got a wide receiver.
Maybe.
I love George Pickens. He's so good.
The Cleveland Browns with Shadur Sanders. Obviously, it depends on kind of where everything lands. And I think this Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm not really sure where they're going to be. But when you look at
rebuilding for next year,
Tampa Bay is going to be tough.
Tough.
So I don't know what these lines. I think, in my opinion, the division winner is going to have like 12 wins, and it's going to be probably the Bears at 12 wins or the Lions at 12 wins. I think the Bears will probably be about 11 wins or 12 wins. So it's going to be right about that. But I don't think any team is going to win 14 in this division this year. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
Here's the Detroit away opponents. Commanders may take a step back, but they're still talented. They won so many close games last year. They shouldn't have beat the Bears, obviously. I think it was like 7 games that were like last minute wins. It was something crazy like that. Eagles, Bengals. I don't know. What about you guys? Looking at these Lions,
that's a tough
games.
schedule.
Yeah, that's a really tough schedule.
It is, yeah.
I mean, you know what? Till we get out there and play them, who knows? Again, Detroit's talented. They're just as talented as any team in the league. I think it is going to come down to the coaching for them. If their coaches are smart enough, and they probably, I don't even know who they got to replace the guys they had. Are they in-house guys or what happened? But Detroit's a good team, so I'm not going to say that they're going to finish, with and not make the playoffs, because they're a really good team. But I think this is easily, in my opinion, the best division of football, and it's going to be tough the whole way around for every team.
It is. What about the Packers here, Miles? Home opponents here, Eagles, Commanders. This, playing the AFC, I believe North, right? That's going to be tough here.
A tough schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Panthers are going to be improved, but I just don't think they're going to be good enough to compete. But home opponents there. Anything else? Let's see. Road opponents. Cardinals, Broncos maybe take a step back. I don't know. There's some tougher opponents here.
Broncos are young.
I'll say I like that road schedule way better than I like the Lions road schedule.
I would agree.
That's way more friendly. But the Packers home schedule is pretty tough. That's gonna be a tough one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're going to really struggle to get 5 wins here with the Packers. But
well,
I mean, minimum. I think the toughest two are the NFC East two right there, the Commanders and the Eagles. I think that's for honestly all 4 of us. I think that those two are going to be the toughest games to really play out. Yeah, obviously the Ravens and the Bengals, they're good. The Commanders are young; they got a lot of talent, and the Eagles obviously are coming off a really big high right now. And
yeah,
so the NFC East, at least those 2 teams are going to be hard to beat.
All right, what about the Vikings? Here's their complete schedule. Commanders, Ravens, Bengals. Falcons could be a surprising. They may win their division.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll see what Penix is.
That doesn't say much.
Yeah. Maybe Penix is better than JJ though.
No.
I mean, we saw what happened in the championship. Let's say that.
It looks like 17-0 to me, so I mean, I'm feeling pretty good.
The most intriguing one there is the Chargers. Obviously, if JJ, depending on obviously we're going to find out where it lands in the schedule, but depending on where it is with JJ going against his former coach, I mean, if it's early in the season, there's no way the Vikings win that game. I just don't think. If it's later on and JJ gets his footing, I think it's possible that he beats Chargers. I think the Chargers are on their upswing.
So doubtful.
Of course, I always have to be with the opponents.
Let's look
at it. Do you think we'll win more than 2 games like you predicted last year?
Yes.
Who threw more yards last year? Was it Darnold or was it Herbert? Just saying. Like when you look at the coaching.
Coach, the big KOC, as I say. Yes, the big KOC. I think that's got to be a T-shirt too. Oh yes, the big KOC.
There probably is a shirt out there like that. I'm sure.
So what we're gonna do? Everyone, Trev and I are coming up with some designs, and we're gonna have some merch coming out. So hey, be looking for that. But obviously everybody is looking for my Bears here.
Nobody.
So, I mean, we're playing the Saints, the Giants. Steelers at home. I mean, these are wins. These are wins for the Bears.
It's a pretty cushy home schedule there.
It is. And obviously the Browns. I mean, we don't know what the Browns are yet. Obviously, they get
No one knows what the Browns are, including
I don't even think
including the head organization.
I think the Browns are early favorite to be the worst team in the league. They're gonna be awful.
That team, that some teams are just destined to never be good. It just feels like that. Like, listen, Minnesota's never won a Super Bowl, but they're always, it seems like, relevant. Like, they're
competitive.
Sometimes it sucks that we're 8 and not 8 or whatever, but
it's ugly. It's ugly.
Or they'll just, they've given me some great moments. The Minneapolis Miracle one. People want to say, what happened next week? I don't care about that. Like, the high of, like, the loss sucked, but, like, we've had some great moments. Yes, we haven't won a Super Bowl, but I can't imagine being a Cleveland fan where you're just bad every year. It just feels like you have, like, no hope. Like, at least we have hope, a little bit. Like, just give me some 14-win seasons. We have those. Like, we've had some moments that are great, but God, I can't imagine, because I love football so much, just being so bad every year. Like, that would just suck. Golly, man.
Yeah,
in case it's not clear, it would suck to be a Browns fan.
Yes, 100%.
And the Vikings have a fantastic defensive coordinator. I mean, and defense wins championships. Obviously, you have to have some offense, but I mean, when you look at
Stefanski, though, I like him. Like,
I do like him.
From him.
I will say that
stuck in a bad, but the Browns, though, like,
terrible.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, speaking of a non-terrible team, the Bears again here. So the road opponents, we do have some tough road opponents, but we're going to Vegas.
I was gonna say you should go to Vegas.
I might. That's a W right there.
Do you know the prices on this? Because the Vikings played there either last year or the year before. The prices for Vegas, like, they think that, I don't know what they're thinking.
They should.
It's ridiculous. I think just crazy. Because it's
just because it's Vegas.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Golly,
I think so. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, with the Commanders, they may take a step back, but they're still solid all around. I think the 49ers take a step back this year. I really do.
They already did last year. They're on the way down. They changed so many changes.
I mean, they lost Debo. They lost Debo to the Commanders, so that takes them down a lot.
It does.
Man,
so obviously, when the schedule comes out, we'll kind of go through, and I'll find my 12 wins somewhere. For sure. But hey, it's a tough schedule, I think, for all of us, right? I mean, this
is. We all have the same teams except for 2 or 3,
a couple.
So, it's our and at the AFC North and the NFC West is who we play, and those are 2 tough divisions. So it's going to be a grind for sure.
What I like though, hey, we're getting respect, right? As a division, we're getting respect.
100%. I think people know that.
Like they want to knock us down a peg. They want to say, NFC North, get out of here. But we're like, no, we're here to stay. Everybody but the Packers, we're here to stay. We're here to stay.
Of course.
I
mean, the Packers can't be the only team in the NFC North.
That's true. That's
much
true.
As we'd like to be.
Tell you what, it's going to be another interesting season. Obviously, we have a lot.
Be the only team with receivers in the NFC North. So.
I mean, you got to have a quarterback to hit, right? It's got to be both. I mean,
by the end of this season,
what's the Bears' excuse then?
JJ McCarthy's going to be the best quarterback in the division. Just give him 1 year to prove it. Watch. It's going to be all JJ.
Do you realize Caleb Williams had the 10th best ever rookie season in the NFL?
According to who?
Look it up. It's according to somebody. I'm sure it's out there.
Jordan Love's first season as a starter is better than any season a Bears quarterback has ever had.
I mean, Sam Darnold's season last year was better than any Bears quarterback.
Well, of course, all these 4th year, 5th year veterans absolutely should be.
We're talking about the history of the Bears, not just Caleb Williams this past year.
It's like over 100 years, man.
Oh gosh, it was one of the wide receivers. Maybe it was. One of our wide receivers that he was given the history of the most receiving yards as a Bear, and he said, "But for a season, right? No, for a career, like just the amount for a career, and it is just like ridiculous." So it is what it is. New day coming, but hey, it's been a fun evening, guys. As we close out, where can we find you, Dre?
You can hit me up on X, Twitter. It's at Skullman Sports. I love talking Vikings football, especially, but Minnesota sports, at least mostly football and basketball. Go Wolves. And going back to what we said about, we can say we're back. Yeah, Wolves back. I'm going to still say Wolves in 5 or Wolves in 6. One of the two. We'll see what happens.
Hey, I've lived in Minnesota 10 years, and I could definitely root for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're
and it's the truth.
Yeah, he is. He's a great
nice.
player.
I don't even like basketball, but he's nice.
So where can we find you, Viking Dave?
That's it. Viking Dave 18 on Twitter. That's pretty much it. That's where you find me on there. I'm usually talking some shit about the Bears and the Packers,
Hey, I get it.
Sounds like good content to me.
It is fantastic content, especially when my teams are doing well. It hasn't happened in the past, but we're on the uptick. And you can find me on NFL Outdated on Twitter X, on YouTube, and obviously on the Freezin 4 pod on the TikTok. And someone who is a star waiting to happen with his glasses. Where can everyone find you, sir, Miles, as we close out tonight?
Man. The future's too bright. I can't take these things off. We got Jordan Love. We got Super Bowls on Super Bowls coming. Not one, not two, not three.
This is very blinding.
You got LeBron over here.
This is blinding. I know. This player is blinding. I know.
Is that friend Tarkenton?
No. It's Jettas.
I know.
You can find me Monday nights 9:30 p.m. Central on the Pack Weekly Pod, YouTube, Packers Talk Network. Hit that subscribe button. Let's talk Pack.
Lots of good stuff. Definitely like and subscribe, all that. But guys, you know what time it is, really? Coming up here soon. What time it is?
Schedule release.
Well, that's coming up next week as well. But it's almost time for all the pundits to say their dark horse team is the Packers. Every single year it happens.
Oh, yeah.
This is our dark horse
right.
team, the Packers, this
true.
and this and this. It's not going to happen this year, Miles. Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Hey, I enjoy that part of this season way more than I enjoy the other part, which is the short season where, guys do stuff in shorts and they're deemed the GOAT.
Oh, the best ever.
Yes,
You're like, dude, this guy's a 6th-round pick. He's lucky to make the team. Like, calm down. He made
Who is stopping this man in shorts?
Yeah, exactly.
Love this part of
the underwear Olympics, I think.
We'd rather hear that than nothing in the off season. So at least, I'm ready for training camp to start. So
absolutely.
Going.
All right, guys. Thanks again. Once again, it's been the Freezin 4 NFC North podcast. We will catch you next week for schedule release. Lots of great stuff. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again for commenting, all that. And we will see you again next week. Bear down.
See you guys.
Go, Pack, go.
Peace.